Hi, welcome back to the farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. Well, kind of feels like we're heading towards spring. Today is a beautiful blue sky day. The sun's out already, even though it's quite early, and there's a little bit of warmth in the air, which is really nice. But the rest of this week hasn't been like that. So we've had a lot of wild weather here. It poured rain. The creek has broken its banks again. The paddocks are really, really muddy. We can't get our car from over to the house to the stock run because it is just so muddy. And it was wildly windy, like crazy winds. Like felt like everything was just gonna be blown away. It was ridiculous. It's been a week since I put the sheep back into their original paddock to give the shed grass area a chance to recover a little bit. I can see now the grass is starting to reshoot, whatever. But there's lots of bare patches where the capeweed had been, and they've eaten the capeweed. But what capeweed does is it spreads, and then nothing grows underneath where it spreads out. So I'm hoping now that some grass will start to grow through those areas now that there's some rain and some sun to promote some growth. It may even be worthwhile me getting some grass seed and just sprinkling it out over that area just to see if I can get anything to come through. But I'll see how it goes first. Their current paddock is still doing reasonably well. It's got lots of fresh green growth. And to maintain that, what I've been doing is giving them a biscuit of hay each per day and giving them grain sort of every other day as well, just so that they're not going to be so hungry that they're going to eat down all of that new grass in their paddock. My hope is that if I can rest the grass area out here by the shed, I can then over spring and summer get the grass to be growing well in both and just be switching them between the two and hopefully manage those two areas. We'll see how we go, but that is my plan. I've also made contact with a shearer and booked a tentative time for the start of September. Um, his advice was to wait a little bit longer just because the weather is still quite wild and cold. So hopefully that sort of change in the weather starts to turn and then we can get them shorn once there's not going to be any more really severe wet or cold days. Last weekend, I taught another sock class at Unwind, which was really great. It's just so good to be sharing that knowledge and to be able to teach people what I know and to teach people socks, because then I saw some of those people the other night at the wine and cheese night at Unwind, and they were really excited to be able to start their new sock projects. I've got some more sock classes booked in for the rest of the year, which is on the Unwind website. And I'm also looking forward to next year where I'll be teaching a sock class at one of the Tea Time Yarn retreats. So there's a lot coming up for me in terms of sock classes and teaching, and that's a really exciting kind of new part of my business, which is really good. This week I decided that I needed to do a tidy up in here. It was getting a little bit out of control. I'd sort of just been dumping things as I was getting ready for markets and finishing dyeing sessions and going to sock classes and all that stuff. So there was bits and pieces out all over the place. The desk was covered in paper. I hadn't put away everything from my last dye session. It was clean, but I just hadn't put it away. There was lots of yarn scraps from rescanning and putting things into tubs and rubbish all over the floor. And I know it actually makes more sense to do little bits as you go and it'll keep everything tidy. And for a while I can do that, and then all of a sudden I have a lot on and it just ends up being leave it where it is, and I can just close the door in here and walk away. And so I just kind of let it get a little bit carried away. So everything is tidy now. And part of doing that tidy was that I've now put a calendar up on the wall so I can plan ahead and see things that are coming up. I'm thinking that maybe I get one of those big whiteboard, by the year that you can like write on and rub off and all that kind of thing. I'm going to have a look at what options there are and see if that will work, or if I just print out sheets of each month and if I just write on that, and that should kind of work the same. I haven't really decided yet, but at the moment I've just got the paper and I've started to do some planning ahead so I can sort of work backwards from when things are on so that I can make sure that I get myself super organized. Because with yarn dyeing, you can't just turn things around reasonably quickly, especially when you're waiting for yarn to dry. So you have to make sure that you've dyed enough well in advance so that you have it ready to go when you need it. Today, I just popped on the Pincher shawl. It's a one skein project and it's done using short rows. It makes these little like feathers with the yarn, which is really cute. This is one skein of my Snozzberries colorway and I just love how it turned out. I knit this back in 2016 and it's just a nice little shawl that you can just pop around your neck. I've done a little bit more on my second opal hearted sock. The heel is in and I've probably got about another 2 centimeters to go before it's ready to be bound off. And then I will, with this rest of this ball, do a sample square in the opal hearted colorway. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the rest of this ball. We'll see. So yeah, I'd only knitted on these at the sock class a little bit on the weekend and then at the wine and cheese night. So not a ton of progress, but that's what socks are for, to just carry around and do a little bit when I need some knitting. Okay, so I did a whole lot more work on the Faded Frenzy that's not a fade tee that I was working on last week. And I've used up all of the ball of the Highland Handmaids that I was using. So it looks really pretty, but it is very cropped. It sort of comes to like the bottom of my rib cage, so it's got a little ways to go. I need to cover that belly area. So I was looking at some options at home, and I thought maybe what I could do is add in a solid color and a variegated color and maybe stripe it. Then I thought that might look a little bit too jarring because this is, you can tell that that's one yarn, not something that's been striped. Then I thought maybe I could do a lace pattern, and I found one and I did a panel, and then I thought maybe I could then add a different color. So I was looking at maybe doing like a solid green, but it's quite a light green compared to this. And then I was thinking maybe I could do something like that and do some lace panels and then bind off at the bottom. So I did one and I took it to Unwind and got everyone's opinion, which is kind of what I was thinking was going to happen. They were like, nah, that doesn't look right. And it's a little bit too like insipid, that green. It's a bit too light and it made it look 100% like it was a mistake and not an intentional use of the yarn, like that I was trying to cover up the fact that I'd run out, which is what I actually was doing. So I ripped that out. I should have taken a photo before I did, but I completely forgot. So at Unwind last night, I literally put the needles back in to the last row of this, and it's now ready to start on the next option that I've come up with, which is the dark purple plum. That's actually coming up really true on the camera, which is quite rare for a purple. It is called Grape, and it is by Fiberspace. Their Vivacious 4-ply. It's 100% superwash merino. So I think what I'm going to do is just pop this on the bottom as quite a long rib. So I'm going to switch. I'm going to do one round in stockinette, and then I'm going to switch to the smaller needles and just do a 2x2 rib maybe. I'm going to play around and see what looks the best to kind of go with this, and then I think I'll finish it off by doing a little section of sort of garter right at the bottom. So hopefully by next week I'll have something to show you and that it looks like it was intentional and that it's a sort of a cohesive garment. So I bought this last night, which I kind of wasn't intending to do, but I did anyway. I also bought a swivel 360 cable for Chiagu, which I don't have here. One of their new cables. So they're very similar to their red lace cables, but they're little, the ends twist, so that you don't get them so like coiled up. So I was excited to get one of those. I'm sure I'll be adding more of those to my collection of Chiagu because they are my favorite needles. I have a lot of cables and tips, and I really love working with them. And you can never have enough. I also bought these 3 skeins. So 2 of the Mockingbird colorway. It is Queensland Collection Rainbow Beach 100% superwash wool. And then this lighter color, which is called Sandpiper. And I'm thinking that this will make a really nice, another short sleeve top with some patterning on the yoke with this Sandpiper colorway. These were on the bargain table. They were only $5 a skein. So I've got $15 worth of yarn here. I'm probably going to end up spending about $15 on a pattern to be able to knit with it, but that's not bad. So, and I'm on a bit of a short sleeve top kick at the moment. So I thought that that would be something fun to try. And it's a different yarn I haven't tried before. I've tried other Queensland Collection yarns, but not this particular kind. So looking forward to that. Well, that's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.